can't do it for that. I did 33 times an hour and a half. Take drive.
So that way, don't even come get it. It's going to be raining. No, you don't get it. My first time. Well, thank you. What do you do, kids? You can kick it further than you can slide. You can split it. Yeah. I went to an auction. You ended up bringing 2 houses home. And I'm going to keep the 2 houses alive if I can. But the getting classes in the kitchen. I'll say that. Then there's like, if you want to look.
I'll hang out here.
I mean, I like the children. I think it's all. Yeah.
Oh, I need kids to want to come out. Send you a note every time it happens. I'm usually Get the next spring. The spring, at least. They frame windows, they try to send the queen elsewhere, east, horizontal. I'm gonna put 2 nukes up there this spring. And, they're not gonna vote until late. That's what I'm gonna get you to do. You like that? We're gonna do it with balance. I lost the balance. Yeah. I got so much more,
All right, Howard, how you doing tonight?
vote and give it to Seth. Everybody needs to stand by. You should slide in. No, it's a, one of those anonymous.
Yeah, that's what they do.
I hope we don't have any dead members though.
Yeah. Are we gonna sit, why do we not sit right up front, cause I'm leaving?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sit right on the stand up or watch.
We'll sit right next to you or watch the paper.
If you want to find Seth, walk down that hall.
Oh, I saw it on the side.
Okay.
That way.
Hey, Hannah.
Yeah, I see.
Come here for a second.
Okay.
For your records.
I finally went for it, okay.
Oh, one.
It's interesting.
I still haven't done construction for that.
Are we planning a special meeting for the December or all members to cross over with those?
I would ask right now.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I'll be right back.
So do you all have those? I can't, I don't have time for that. Those instruments takes 45 seconds. I can't do it. Once it first reads, I can do one better. And the thing is, with the dispenser they use, it does measurement. Yeah, I'll find out. So I did 33 houses last Tuesday, and that included driving 2 other acres. And I got to the point where I just leave my respirator on. I want to get stopped so bad one day. And he come up, I got no one to grab him. I said, "You can't step away."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and it was children and it's.
Well, I do know this, what we reserve on interest reducer is Lucas deadline to start to do it. And if you don't have what you're doing there. My last meeting.
You know where to ride? I don't know yet.
Here, take that.
There is a prize.
That's here.
I don't know.
And Rick.
So
He thinks he's not gonna be elected.
If we get enough writings. So are you somebody else trying to vote a writing campaign for John? Yeah, my foot get home.
I told him it's like supporting a local sheriff, you know, James Garner, you know. That's fun to be on my page.
I just figure out what side to play, what side.
Yes, yes.
Stop taking the full board. Green beans, baked beans, mac and cheese, rolled potatoes.
yeah.
What's it here? Then I just whenever we're gonna leave it.
For the drop off.
So you want to drop off the deck section? Yeah, maybe so. I've got leave. Rick.
Yeah, that's okay. I brought my beans.
Well, they had some. You got somebody behind them.
Yeah, John.
Yeah.
Actually, the cheaper from the body.
It will chip it up. It will chip it up. But it's also more stuff. So you cut down on the moisture. So it makes it hard, but then you'll put up the chew, and it's very easy. Especially grab the top.
Well, the way you do it. Did you see your?
I will be able to.
They cut through it pretty quick.
Actually, one of those.
The only reason I'm doing candy versus sugar press. Because I was gonna buy shoes anyway. So I just bought the candy.
That's just a place to store the sell.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, you can see what they got laid out there. Keep showing.
They don't think you track the money. Oh, another hour. I wasted another hour. That's my. I'm gonna be good. Once I move, I will be good.
That a little different than yours?
Yes.
Is that how it was? Yeah, that's what I thought. I hadn't seen what that looked.
Yeah, that's $2.99. Mine was $5.
Yeah, that's, I was used to seeing the big ones. Well, that is a stripped down, plain Jane, no frills, gets the job done. Very
I never always look at these. I rarely look at them. I just look to see them come back. And so that like this. Well, initially, it was a little long, but coming back. Now, there's. This is a bad sport. And Ken is. Come up with the idea of water.
Yes.
I can see it, as long as you put it back in. I've heard about it.
Well, then, all it does is take out. You know, but you know the word. Also, yes, you draw, you add it, or water.
I find once it gets hot, the blender, it can actually get acts better on. Yes, and I blender in there, you know, because mine, they got kind of dry from last year. But so it was working. Did you get the soups? What I don't remember is I got you.
Because they said, yeah, they said something about colors. So. Fox.
Yes, that's
He's had non-ventilated ones.
I mean, it's a big, good thing. I mean. When I went to that's, yeah, home, I had this, that's my name. He didn't stay right there. Damn, I came from church, we need to do something, that's, church, something.
I went up there to meet some, board of leaders. They didn't like that. I just had bail on it. I had to go get it. Then they did, well, I have some odds that they beat it up. Yeah, what you doing? Oh, great.
And then there's that group.
That's what. I'll think sugar water. I only got here one, it's kind of like, it's not like being high, so. I got really heat. Too bad. I had one side that was gonna make a good point now. Nowhere. I'm like, oh, look, you decided to do something about that. Jesus. Something must be wrong. Oh, you wait, I need to move on the bottom.
I don't know,
There's no session.
I had rolled in the high side.
they won't be well, she won't be well made, you know, just get you to the spray.
And not, I went on back. Let it roll. At least y'all are ladies. Stands, let's just whack them all. Those such a car.
Yeah.
Y'all see. I'm gonna get you to sign a check and sign it, please.
Oh.
You know it's gonna be a problem. What was that thing you did, whoever? Thank you.
Oh,
Well, that's what I want, that, but you can, that's.
I don't, but I'll be glad to when you want me there.
Look, you don't have enough schedules, that's the problem. I have all that. Or how far you're willing to go, or how far he's willing to go. Because, I mean, there's some on the way home from work that I can get to fairly early. I work in H6, I work down in UT. So, you know, so there's one right over there on 42. One out on the use is right there, UT and care.
4 to 5 days a week.
He's on the week.
Sunday, 6 to 9.
Yes, right now, I'm scheduled Monday through Thursday. Friday, I usually go to my parents. Saturday, I usually do stuff here if I've got time. Like Sunday, I try to pick in whatever stuff. And let's say, Friday after Thanksgiving, at work, go. Two Saturdays in December. And I can move some stuff around like my folks, as far as going to see them. I can change that and do something.
What's your schedule?
I can't do it this week. I
I'm not sure that I don't think so.
Do we need our question? I'm thinking.
We all should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I could probably get there. I can leave. As long as I. We got that. You already got one, you don't? No, we know what it is. I know, we have time. Because, and right, once we do that, he's gonna. Al will come on. Right.
So you,
So there's three of us on there, wouldn't mind having four, depending on who we figure out. We want that to be, we would want it to be, another 8-year manager, whatever.
can't be a director.
Can't be, yes, it can't be a direct, so I'm thinking, push it to shove. We push it into December, into late December, but they got to happen. No. No, you got your point position of work. I don't like to do that.
Or Jim did.
I'm gonna say, we can use that as the program director.
Jim doesn't hear us talking about him.
That's what makes it easy.
Yeah,
Thank you for volunteering. For the next 30 years. They got it.
Okay.
Oh, you do?
We're getting another person to sign check. Sign check.
No,
He's busy being a director.
because the director reviewed the books, like, right.
Looks like it was one of the first sides that came. Remember last year we had.
If we got two signatures, we're gonna check.
I think, yeah, I remember.
I couldn't tell you when it was.
It was December
December.
board meeting, just boards.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to leave, but we got some stuff. We gotta get that school around the station.
If you want to do it in person, nobody signs, we have to have to do it in person.
I would.
I would think that.
But do you think should we do it here like we did, or should we do it big somewhere, be quiet here?
It was right, docs.
Chamber here.
Yeah.
Anything I need to decide.
What were our chocolate choices last year?
For side, green beans, baked beans, running stew, old potatoes, coleslaw.
I'm a big one on the wall, that how many sides do we get for it? You need to.
I took out green beans.
Bring me potatoes. What do y'all find? Green beans, potatoes.
We have whole pork chop chicken, hush puppy. Sweet tea, unsweet tea, and pickle that.
Okay. Yeah,
As far as I know, those are all city birds. Yeah, I see that.
Mason, she didn't make sense.
I mean, no one else.
Sure.
Okay, pick up salad over there.
That's fine.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so. I'll bring it in.
I just need you to tell me about this. There, I'm sitting right here. You got hands down.
Yes, it's wrong.
And then I just need
You have all the
anything like mom, no, terrible.
Same way it hurt, it's not right.
Like I said, she did it, like, oh, she knows.
Oh, that
That's right.
I'll get it.
We'll get it.
Hello, hello. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. If you could.
Yeah.
If we could all stand and say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any visitors or new members here? Could you tell us about you?
Well, I'm Larry Knight, and I just got a couple of hives in October, and I'm here to try to keep the food winter.
You need to get to know Rick there and Kent.
Yes, we're gonna talk later.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm Pam Wilson, this is Mary Copeland. We got a hive here in April. It's going pretty strong, we just haven't won, but it's going well. So we're just trying to learn.
Okay, just those two. And Hannah, I'm not forgetting about Hannah. Okay, announcements tonight. Beekeepers Corner, I've been doing since like 2019. It's been written since April of 2020 when COVID hit. But I'm gonna just continue doing it. This is the last one that, I will do. And I'm looking for 1 or 2 people, especially new beekeepers, to volunteer to take over doing the Beekeepers Corner. And what I can provide you is Nancy Rupert's list, the past Beekeepers Corners, and Dinah Stallman's weekly publication. But I really would like to have 2 people to volunteer to put that together once a month. And it's basically just a 4-week look ahead. What should you be doing with your house? So just approach me after the meeting if you would do that. I would love for someone to do it. Next item is we had a snafu with the meeting announcement, and that ice cream was promised at the basics, and I was afraid that I might get impeached before I could resign, so Al bailed me out and got ice cream, so let's all thank Al for getting ice cream. Thank you, Al. Okay, I'm resigning effective tonight. Rick Ivy is going to take over my position as co-president with Al. Basically, my knees have gotten such that I'm having trouble keeping up with the house, and I'm basically burned out. So I'll be around, I'll be in the apiary, I'll be doing 4-H, and I'll help with bee school, but I'm not gonna run the day-to-day operations. So I thank you for letting me be president for the past roughly 3 years, apiary manager before that.
Okay, those with the agenda, we're going to switch the voting to after our presentation tonight. So Jennifer Keller, she's from NC State, and I'll let her introduce exactly her formal term and hopefully.
All right, while that's getting ready, I will start my little introduction. It'll be very brief. I am an NC State worker, David Tarkey. Most everybody knows that name. Let's see, I've been there since '03. So I've been there a while, and I was the chief apiary, just jack of all trades out in the beekeeping world. David would come up with these crazy projects, and I was in charge of making sure we had all the bees and all the resources and everything we needed to make it happen. And it was great for about 20 years. And I've just recently kind of shifted roles. I'm now more in the office, which is not nearly as much fun, but I'm learning how to use computers and stuff that I put off for a long time. And so I'll talk a little bit about that. But most of the first part of this is what goes on out in the field on a day-to-day basis.
Yep, this is working. I think that's full.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so I'm just gonna start rolling through some slides and feel free to ask questions as we have. All right, so. I'm going to turn my back to you. All right, so some of these slides are borrowed from David Tarkey, and some I made myself. Very clear which are which. He's a perfectionist, and I'm not. So, this is one of his, and he just always likes to just talk about our program in the 3 basic aspects we have: extension, research, and teaching. I don't do any of the teaching; that's all on him as part of this. But this is actually extension. Coming out, talking to beekeepers. As extension, and then the research is what But most people, when they think of research, they think of high-tech facilities like this, right? All decked out in your lab coats and goggles, so you don't be moving your eyes. But in reality, this was where I worked the last 4 years. This was my research office. This was my office. I went to every day. It's beautiful. You get deer and wild turkeys and hawks and everything. Don't have to worry about people bothering you.
You're making me jealous.
Yeah, jealous word. And then if you didn't want us to stay there, you get to go to other yards that were also equally as impressive and nice and quiet. And as of today, so Kim Dillon, I don't know if people here are familiar with that name. She's the one who's taken over as the inspector, research technician, I guess is what we call it. I don't really have official roles, but that's what she's doing that now. She's actually set up even more yards than I had. So we have something like 6 or 8 out yards all across, well, from Clayton, Raleigh, all the way to Hillsborough. We span quite a long distance and have different projects set up in different locations. And sometimes we have to have replicates, we'll have some in like one area and some in another area so we can compare. So what do we do with all these bees that we have? Well, we have a lot of different projects going on all at the same time, a lot of balls up in the air, juggling them all at the same time. But one of the main ones that we've done over the years repetitively involves queen rearing. That was always one of my favorites. In spring, I love springtime. That's when the bees are happy. Everybody's just, they don't care if you're bothering them. There's so much in bloom, and it's also the best time for queen rearing. So that's another reason to love spring. This is a graduate student that wasn't with us. She's now moved on. She's down in California, UC Davis, working there. But we were sitting on the tailgate of the truck in one of those beautiful yards that you saw, just grafting weeds and getting ready to put them into a cell builder. This is what the frames look like after, hopefully. And this is ideal. They don't always turn out as nice, but sometimes they do. Get really good take. Every one of these is a queen cell. So we can then place each one of these into a meeting booth and start a new queen. I don't see any markings on those. Sometimes we can mark them differently depending on what the treatments are. The grafted queens or the grafted larva, maybe it's a little bit something different, or sometimes we expose them to pesticides. Sometimes we expose them to different things that we're testing. So then we would mark like one bar would be for this treatment, one bar for this treatment, and then we can keep track of them as they develop, which ones develop better, which ones maybe don't mate as well. So there's all different ways we can play around with this cool queen rearing. This is one of our advantages. We have a nice large incubator in our lab. And so we go back to this one. I can pull these out as soon as they're capped. And most people don't have the luxury of having an incubator, so you have to immediately go from the cell builder to the mating booth. And you have to time it just right and all that. Well, we're lucky enough, we have the incubators, so we can pull them out as soon as they're capped. Leave them in the incubator until just before they're going to emerge. And then we put them out into the mating booths. It just allows us a little extra time where we can reuse that cell builder again earlier than we would normally be able to use it. We can also call out, look at them, call them, and pick only the best of the best of these beekeepers. This is another picture of the same thing, but this time we actually, some of the cells went into mating booths. Some of the cells actually went into just, we would let the queens emerge and then go straight into a petri dish. This is yet another experiment. I think testing, but that's it. It was for pesticides. So we once exposed to pesticides, how long does it take for the effects to show on the queen? Does it show on the queen? Do they weigh as much? Do they, are they, like if you introduce them into your economy, are they accepted as readily? And you look directly around the queens to see if as many of the workers are interested in, or maybe they're not interested at all. So there's different things we can do there. I think I have a picture a little bit further on of all the queens in the petri dish. This was kind of fun. Unfortunately, I had to feed them. I had to give them a drop of sugar water. And, you know, I think everybody says queens don't feed themselves. You heard that? Queens don't feed themselves? They do. If you're stuck in a petri dish and you give a little drop of sugar water, they will drink it. And it's interesting to watch. You can come out there and suck down the sugar water. Next up, so I already mentioned a little bit about pesticides. This is one more area that is studied quite readily because we often hear about the effects of the pesticides in agriculture and how bad they are on the bees. Well, yeah, is it true? We don't know. We don't really know. Some people say yes, some people say no. So we need some hard data to see what's the truth. This is Joe Malone. He was a PhD student with us, spent 4 or 5 years studying pesticides. And I think for me, this was one of the first ones that actually, I thought did it in a practical manner where beekeepers could see it. Prior to this, we did a lot in the research lab with micropipettators and running machines that could analyze stuff. But this was out in the bees. And so I really, really appreciated the work that you put in on this. Let's see. So these are a bunch of our mating, a whole row of mating. So about 50 queens would be raised in those matings, 2 for each of those boxes. Joe, we went through that same process of raising queens like you saw earlier. And then each of the queens were exposed to certain pesticides, different doses of certain pesticides. There was, I think, 3 pesticides and then 3 doses of each one to see what effects they had on these pests on the queens. They were treated many different ways. I'm just showing you some of the pictures. This was a, like I said, 5-year project, so it was much more than what I'm going to talk about. This is one of the aspects of it where he put these queens into cages and actually dose them, and then put the whole batch of queens into what we call a queen bank, which is basically just a queenless colony of bees, strong enough that can maintain, feed, take care of a bunch of queens all at once. So then this would allow for all of those queens, despite the difference of doses, to have the same environmental effects of the bees taking care of them. If you put them in different colonies, and you say, well, this colony did a better job than this. So you have to have similar effects. Another thing he did was, this is that first picture of the petri dish is all queens in the incubator. These were all raised out of different treatment groups. And so each stack of petri dishes was a different treatment group. So those were everyday people. Then we monitored them. I think it was for 5 days. Make sure they, the ones that lived for 5 days, we then introduced them into colonies. And eventually, unfortunately, a lot of the queens that we raise get dissected. So they don't live very long. They're for research. It's all in the name of research. So they get dissected and their ovaries are removed, the spermatheca is removed, and then the sperm counted for viability, like numbers and viability. Is it alive or dead, and was it a good mating queen or a poorly mated queen? This is just one more way we can raise the queens in the incubator. So we can keep them alive, not in petri dishes and not in just the queen cell, but we can actually let the queen cell emerge into a group of 25 to 50 worker bees just enough that they can take care of her for a few days, long enough for us to allow the bees to go through whatever process we're trying to get them to go through before they once again get that sick. Very sad, but it does tell us a lot about the bees.
Do you have any data as to what the effects of that pesticide exposure in general was to 50%?
I didn't bring any charts and graphs because I feel like most time when I do that, people get glazed over and start falling asleep. But all these papers are on our website.
Okay.
You can go to the website and look under published journals, articles, and you can find them. Yeah. If David came, that's all he would be talking about. He would be showing you the full picture. He just go straight to the graph and start talking. Some of the things that we can do for research purposes, this is observational studies. These are always fun when you plan them out, and then when you actually get going to do the work, like, wow, what was I thinking? It's a lot of work for observation eyes. And you only get really one set of data for one observation eye, so it takes a lot, and you need a lot of observation eyes to make it actually meaningful and you get enough reps. So unfortunately, we don't do it nearly as often as we did, but now that we're getting our new building, we're gonna have a little observation item, so maybe we get back into it. But what we have learned that works for us is we take frames of emerging fruit. So when you're going through your hives and you see the, you see the heads poking out, they're starting to chew, you're like, oh, they're just coming out. Those are the frames. We'll put those in the incubator and in a cage. First of all, we brush all the bees off. Then we put the frame in the incubator. And then the next day, any bees that are on that frame are less than 24 hours old. So bees that are less than that age cannot fly or sting. So they're easy to work with. So this is how we start with observation studies. And then from that point, we can do all crazy markings on these bees. These have to be number tagged so that we can identify each individual bee. That's what I'm saying, it's a lot of work. We did actually invite beekeepers from California to do this, and they had a lot of fun. Sometimes we just use paint dots so we can mark a whole cohort. So any bee that is emerging on this day, for example, is light blue, so we know the age of these bees, and then maybe tomorrow they will be orange. So we can do a whole week and mark them different colors, and how old these are, and you know, like when they start doing different jobs, you can see that. Anybody volunteer to come help next year? Awesome, come on. Oh, too. All right, maybe I need to get that. So, well, I didn't really talk much about what we do with the observation hives, but we've done some age studies to see, once again, with pesticides, does that slow down their development? Does it make them forage earlier? Sometimes people think that if the numbers of bees decline, like if the foragers get hit by a pesticide kill, then the younger bees will forage precociously. Those will start earlier. So we can actually test that using bee-dotted bees. One project we started, which I regret that never really got worked on, was we were trying to figure out which bees feed the queens. So, you know, when the colony swarms or you kill the queen accidentally and they start making new queen cells, which is the bees that feed that developing cell? Is it the same bees over and over? They keep going back? Is it a certain age of the bees? That was one of the ones where we had all those bees numbered and videos, and it just never really got to the next step of getting that answer. And I still want to know. Do you ever watch an observation how they're painted or numbered bees? You know, it looks like all the bees are so busy. But then when you sit there and watch one bee, now that you can see which one it is, they don't all move as much as we think they do. there's a bunch that are just sitting there kind of doing. And I've heard it described kind of like people, you have a bunch of people who are, you have some that are really go-getters, some that are just gonna sit there and watch your girls, be the go-getter, right? And so these have been described as kind of the same way. It's interesting. It's still fun to watch, still better than TV. All right, so I've been talking about a lot of people that are no longer with us. It seems like everybody's graduated and moved on. Brad Metz is somebody who is still with us. He started out as a postdoc in the lab, and he's just stayed and continued working on different projects. Interesting thing about Brad is he is highly allergic to bees. He's one of the few people I've ever met that has gone through sting therapy and cannot get past it. He's finally at a point where he won't die if he gets stung, but he's still very highly allergic. And it's, he did not know this when he started. He used to think that if he got stung, it was normal to pass out. You just go sit down and pass out for a little while, and then you come to and start working. He thought that was normal. This is in Texas, so. So wait, everybody can just go pass out. So anyway, he does a lot of work now with drugs. Figure, right? And it's really good for him, but he'll still come out to be our, at first I wouldn't let him, but he's got that used to him. He suits up completely, and he's a very good beekeeper. So we'll let him come out every so often, but usually I'll just bring drugs to him, so I feel safe. But he loves the drones, and there's just not that many people looking at drones, so it's kind of cool. He likes to look at the reproductive abilities of drones due to exposure of commonly used miticides. But sometimes we'll even take a further test of the wings, which we did this past year, and I think we're going to repeat it this coming year. So what you see in this picture is a frame of drone cone. So you can actually buy sheets of wax that are rolled with the larger cell, just like you buy foundation for a worker cone, you can buy it that is drone cone. So we'll get a whole bunch of those sheets, get them started, and make these, we'll draw it out as drone cone. And pull them out when we're, just before they start using them. We then put, this is for this experiment, in each of our pies, we put one frame with one of these, I don't know what you call it, it's a frame over top of the cone. One side of the front is queen excluder. So we can put the queen underneath this pushing gauge. And the bees can come and the workers can come and go. She's stuck in there. So we're forcing her to lay eggs on this frame on this day. So then we can time it out and know how old everything is from that point on. Usually it works. Oftentimes the bees will chew away under it, but often it's not until after she's finished laying enough eggs for us. It doesn't take her long, surprisingly, to lay a whole frame of eggs for us. There we go. So, one study we've done many years in a row and still have a job trying to figure out is the RFID study. So we can take drones of known agents, put a little RFID chip on there, and throw them back into the colony. Put a special entrance on there so that it's just like at the grocery store where they go under a scanner. But we have to narrow it down for them. We have to say, please go through here. You know how bees never walk this thing, they might go upside down on the side, so they often figure out how to get past our scanner, and we're still trying to work on this. We miss a lot of drones coming in and out. There's two counters, one in the back, one in the front, so you can kind of see, so if they go through 1 and 2, then we know they're on the way out. If they go through 2 and 1, then we know they're on the way in. So we can kind of see what's going on, see how many times a day they go flying, what age these drones are going flying, and I think that's just interesting. They haven't really figured out a great use for it yet, but if you get it to work, then we can put it to better use. So I think it's a great idea, let me know later. Okay, so since we can't really get the RFID chips to work perfectly, we decided this year we would have students at their lunch trees. So once again, we did a bunch of numbering of drones, and only drones. And so then you can sit there and watch them come and go on with a stopwatch. Okay, green 58 is leaving at 2:07. Okay, green 58 is back at 2:15, and we had all this going. And for the most part, it worked, except for during the orientation flight, when they were like all going out at once. We couldn't keep up with them, and it was just way too much, so we missed a bunch there. It's also not a great process, but here's a picture of our 4 grad students in there checking in. They were troopers, and we had 5 different students that were hired for the summer. And this was one of the projects that they worked on, and this was their favorite project. So they were all fighting over, I'm gonna watch the drone, watch the drone. Okay, you got it. Yeah, it was fun. And this is another way we can try to maintain the drones. Drones are very, very difficult to deal with as learners. They don't like to stay alive unless conditions are perfect. We tried making some of these little cages on top of these, and we can get some of them to live, but we try to age them. So we want really mature drones, which is about 2 weeks old. So we catch them when they first emerge, mark them. We can rarely find enough afterwards to go back 2 weeks later, because they fly out their lives, they trip all over the yard. So then we try putting them in these cages, and you have to get at least twice as many as you're going to need for your final result, because at least half of them are going to die. And it's very painful, but we've done this one is, it's always a learning process. We're adding in, and like I said, sometimes we'll work on queens as well. This is a picture of him at the microscope. He has a high-powered camera in the microscope, so you can see what he's doing. So that queen is under a microscope and is getting ready to dissect it. But he'll measure the thorax using the microscope scale. There's a scale there, and it takes a picture of it every time he turns on, so he can go back and verify that it's the same. And then once he dissects out the sperm, he also will take a picture of that, measure it as well with the scale. And then my job was to squish up the sperm and get the sperm stirred up, and then he would later run that to a machine and count. Here's another crazy project we did that I was just, this will never work. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Not raise bees in an incubator. There's no such thing. You have to have worker bees to feed them to grow, right? I mean, everybody knows that. Well, I was proven wrong. So there's a diet. There's a diet out there in literature. Other people that have done this, that you can take a larva, put it into like this little dish, give it just the right amount of equivalent of royal jelly, amino acids, sugars, all the good stuff that larvae will be consuming. And they will continue to consume it in the right conditions, as fairly humid and high temperatures. So of course we have to do it in the incubator. And sure enough, they will grow. And sometimes we have to give them a second dose of food. But once we get it right, they would consume it. This is just an arrow showing the size of the larva that we put into that pool of food. And then that right there is one of the people that we grew in the incubator with the absence of bees. Doesn't get capped over, it just goes. And it's the weirdest thing. Then here's some other ones, and they don't really look as good as you would expect them to look. Like they definitely look a little, I don't want to say like greasy or not healthy. But we did get several that were living, we had several queens come out, and we tried to introduce them into colonies. We never got them accepted, but we got them living queens. And the other interesting thing here is all of these were grafted the same, just like we would go out to the bee yard and graft and expect 100% of what we grafted on queens, right? Here, we would get like 25% queens, 25% workers, and then the other were somewhere in between. Which is very confusing, because if I were to do graft just like this out into a hive, I would get 100%. So there's something going on here that we don't understand. There's more work that needs to be done. All right, last crazy project that I'm going to talk about for a little while. This was another fourth grad student. Actually, I think she was just an undergrad. She came to us from Meredith College, wanted to do a project on bees. And at that time, this was only a few years ago, there was an uptick in the Africanized bee issues, and there were a lot of complaints about needy bees. Like, I think my bees are Africanized. What do I do about it? And in reality, we have no process of like, yes, these are Africanized or these are mean. Okay, we can genetically tell you if these are Africanized, but you can have 100% European honeybees, and if they're mean, you still have one, right? So what is that guideline? You know, where is that line that you cross because you have mean bees? There's really nothing out there as of yet to say this is our definition of mean bees. So we had some ideas in our head of how we're going to decide. And one of which was to wave a little black leather patch in front of the hive and see if you had any attention as they came out to stung. One was to use the alarm pheromone on a filter paper to see if it would attract them and make them come out and sting. And then finally, we came up with this idea of a sting box where we would really, really agitate the bees and see how many bees would come out. But we needed to quantify it, so we had to like track them. So this is a plexiglass box and a motor inside that made a lot of noise and vibrated. And then there's a leather patch inside to count how many stings were based on the leather patch. The sting would be left behind. So let me see if I can. There's no volume. That's supposed to be like making a lot of loud noise. And the bees are just coming out at it. And you can just, I think we got about 50 stings out of that one. It's a 30-second trial. We just done that leather patch 30 times. So this was one of the neater hives. Never really did get great definition though, because it was very obviously, depended on the weather, depended on a lot of different factors. So we would go out to this yard and start middle of the day, and these were not, maybe not so bad. As the day got later, it got hotter, they get a lot worse. Our numbers would go up, and then it was like this time of year, it would get cold pretty quickly, and there was an almost immediate drop off. So it was definitely temperature dependent. So we still didn't really figure out how to define this, but it was kind of interesting to see the differences based on the temperatures. All right, so that's the end of my crazy little projects for now. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what we do at NC State with Extension. I think with this talk here, we give a bunch of these to school kids, a lot of county bee clubs. David does a lot of state associations with different states, and newsletters, publications, and all that stuff. That's one area where David excels at. He's a great writer. a honeybee queen and disease clinic. So this was gonna be Brad Metz once again. He's the, in the lab dissector. He's great at this type of stuff. What this is for people that want to analyze their queens. So mostly we get them from queen producers that want to know how they're doing. They'll send in a handful of queens out of one yard, or maybe some from each yard, and Brad can dissect them and tell you how, give you a grade. So are they mated well? Are they size? Do they look good? Are they healthy? And then at one point we had a lab tech that could test for viruses. That position is vacant at the moment, so we can't do that. But once that's filled in, we can tell you what kind of viruses are also found. And then your queens are going to get a grade. So this can be used to where your clientele. A task the NC State Queen Clinic had. So yes, you get a grade, A, B, C. Most of them actually do quite well, so then they can go back and tell their clientele, I think my queens are, you know, top notch. These guys. Another thing we have going on is our the bees online program. Hopefully you guys have seen this. If you haven't, please check out our website. David has a slew of different classes online. You can listen to him give a recording. He talks about certain topics, covers it completely, and then at the end there'll be a quiz that you can take and test your skills, and you get a little e-certificate. But it's just something, if you are looking for a little bit of a knowledge in a certain area, you might be able to watch a 30-minute or an hour video and just learn a little bit more about that. In fact, we're going to have a class coming up, hasn't even been announced yet, in January. We're going to do the beginners bees something. This is 3 different classes all bundled together for beginners. And it's going to be, you can watch it at your leisure. And we're also going to have a Wednesday night Zoom session. So after each one of the 3 sessions, we'll get together and talk online. And if you have any questions or anything, that's just another way for beginners to get a little bit more knowledge. Again, you know, make sure you understand everything and then once again, you take the business. So that's always, people enjoy that. So you do it at your leisure. You set up 2 o'clock in the morning and you have nothing better to do, can't get some sleep, you can watch that. What else are you want to do, right? Bees Academy. So this is something that we did one time this year. We have been doing it several times this year. I think maybe it's not as popular, everybody just wanted to do it, has already done it, but this is just an intermediate level. So everything that you learned in beginner school, probably just don't learn it again, but now that you've had your bees for a little while, I think it becomes a little bit more pertinent, you understand it better, you know, questions to ask this time around, and so it's just a booster shot, I guess that's right there.
It's worth the money.
It's worth the money, all right, perfect, thank you. So yeah, we will be definitely having one this coming year, I'm not sure where yet. All right, then, of course, everybody wants to hear about the update on our new Beekeepers building. Yay. Someday it might happen. We did have our official groundbreaking ceremony, you know, where you have the gold shovel and the pile of dirt that got moved. We haven't seen the actual groundbreaking yet, but someday. I'm not in that room. I'm sorry. This is the building that we inherited. Actually, I worked here as a graduate student with John Ambrose but this is where his office was, kind of. Our VR is out here. This is a old chicken barn, I believe. This has long since been torn down and returned to houses here. This is what Dr. Harvey inherited when he took over. This is just an old house that we, I think, did really well with. I mean, it was not designed to be a lab, but we did what we needed to do and set it up accordingly. It was off campus, so it was very nice. The first picture I showed you of my office is in the back of this house. And so I basically had everything I needed right there. We had storage, we had the incubators in there. It was just a little sketchy sometimes because the power would go out at the first hint of the storm. We had to worry about that. There's a few other things, really shady looking basement. And the roof was leaking here and there, but. And that led to this problem here, where it is now quarantined, although it's still only half quarantined, so we can use the other half. But this is why we're getting a new building. This is where we're located temporarily, which I actually love. It's actually really spooky at night. It's way down in the middle of nowhere. So it's completely dark and you have to go through a gate to get there and down in the dirt road. It's kind of, but the daytime is beautiful. Birds, there's even eagles out there. This is all on our website. I know you can't see this here, so if you have any interest, I can pull it up later, or you can just go on the website and check it out. This is probably 2 years of talking with designers about how to build a building that is what NC State would like to see and what we would like to do. So it's trying to combine those two together. This is a couple of drawings that they've drawn out. Hopefully it's going to look like this. We'll find out.
Where's it supposed to be located?
Do you know where the old one was? Okay, the old B Lab is on, it's on the Lake Wheeler Research Farm. Okay, so, and if you know where the Mountain Calgary place is, on Lake Wheeler, it's like back behind the town line. Off of Inwood Road, which is the road that goes back behind the town line. Somebody even came up with a brilliant idea of, these are the different ports where the observation house is supposed to go. They're going to be farm close, because they want it to look like the barn, and, you know, fit the farm look. And that's about it. Oh, one more thing, the endowment professorship, that's another ongoing project at NC State. And we appreciate, I don't know what Johnston County has done, but all those clubs that have donated and individuals that have donated. Because now that we have this new building coming up, this endowment is probably even more important, because I could see Dr. Carvey retiring, and then we'd have this brand new building that would be vacant of Beekeepers, and it would go to some other program and be the new pig unit. Like we're now in the fish barn. We're storing stuff for bees in the fish barn because they no longer have their program. And if Dr. Carvey retires and they don't fulfill his position again, very well might not have a bee program. So we are very appreciative of this endowment that's coming up, so that we'll always make sure to have another person coming in, so if Dr. Carvey will decide to leave tomorrow, there should be somebody. That's very important. So I'm happy to take any questions if you have any. Okay, awesome. Yes.
Do you plan on doing research on any of the bee problems, like all my
Long 5 years would be a great one to do some research on. I've considered it. Yeah, I did my master's project in small ideas. And that was when they were just brand new and we didn't know anything about the life cycle. Yeah, I would like to. I don't know that Dr. Carvey wants to though, but I think that I'd like to see how viruses are transmitted by the beetles. Because if mice are transmitting viruses, I'm assuming that the beetles are also transmitting some of these viruses from my knowledge. So if you have some thoughts, let me know. I just don't know if I talked into it. Waxworm, we haven't thought about anything with that, except for there is a project of, did you guys see the summer meeting, Dr. Parker was asking to give waxworms, they're collecting waxworms from different parts, there's somebody else in our building that is looking at the genetic diversity of the wax. I don't know if that's still going on, so don't send me wax. That was an interesting part for a little while.
What was your number one pesticide? Like the top offender, top five, always.
You mean when we're doing, like, purposely exposing, so we would either do the miticides, which would be like anthrax, sudalinase, we're still finding sudalinase in the wax, even though that's not used nearly as much as it was 20 years ago. So we would use a lot of miticides. And then some different projects would look at the agricultural insecticides, which I don't know those as well, so I don't even want to begin to spout out anything. But some of the more common ones that are used in like cotton or soybeans or some of the crops that you have to put these in.
Pellet fungicides.
Don't recall it, maybe. Like I said, that's not my area at all. I was more in charge of getting the beach ready. I can find out maybe. Or
Go look at the,
yeah, the website should have the results of that paper should be on. It's been on for a while. Also, a lot of times, I don't find out the results until like 2 years later, and then I find out, your paper was published. What did we do? I can't even remember what we did, you know, it's a long time ago. Any questions?
The website is, how far back does the papers go? On the website?
Knowing David back in 2002, that's when he started it.
Okay.
I'll keep busy for a while. You can always go into Google Scholar and just type in Harvey, David Harvey. Anything that he's published will appear.
go to Google Scholar.
That's one of them, yes. But then, so like, we're on the school library, so we have access to all that. Some of them you are public access, some of them are a little bit more hard to get into. You try. Well, thank you for having me tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. It's always great. So the first time I heard about Jennifer, it was explained to me that she's the one that makes the lab experiments work, and the people doing that. She does the behind the scenes part. So it's always great to have somebody of this knowledge. So next order of this, you'll get your emails, and it listed all the different positions for our officers. And let's see, we have bylaw changes that went out. And we have a plug calendar proposed for 2025. So you have papers. John has copies. Does anybody not have a pen?
Only members can go there.
Only members can vote. So.
So. Okay.
Set it in the system. And the second thing about who doesn't have a ballot? You don't get a vote of that. Everybody knows who's running, right? Yeah. Okay, Rick, stand up, please. Rick is running for president. He's currently the treasurer and they are. Okay. Cam is running for director. Third director. Daniel, if you stand up, he's running for vice president. And Kent is running for secretary treasurer. Jim Dempster was appointed program director for next year.
I don't think they're technical stuff. He's getting down the trains, makes the emails.
Yeah, he's the one that got me in trouble with the ice cream.
So if y'all can mark your selections. We're gonna do at the end for the county.
And I'm sorry there's not lines on some of these. And down at the bottom is the most important thing you'll fill out in here is tell us what you want. What the club needs to do for you. Do what? More ice cream.
So since simple, I guess if y'all pass them to the end. Simple.
Pass them down. So it's back over.
We can fold it.
Pass it to the center.
Those are 5.
I said, I heard it.
And like this, Sarah was correct.
Do I have all of the ballots? Stand here, treasurer, if I vote. All right, last call.
So, also, other county, take your time.
Really hard.
Crazy things, it's funny, we have basic. We would like volunteers every year, we'd like to even see 2 people in each slot running against each other. But we're very grateful for the people who are doing our positions next year. So next order of this, next month, we don't have a formal meeting, presentation, or anything. We're gonna have a holiday dinner. And if you've been here before, I know a lot of you have. What we do is we get it catered, it's Debbie Eads, right? Daniel's, your sister, she owns the place and gives us a great deal for the meals. It's, you'll describe it, I know it's barbecue, but you probably have better details.
Well, the current meal is gonna be pulled pork, chopped chicken, which is smoked chicken, green beans, long potatoes, and hush dogs.
And then we get salad and, were you doing the drinks or did we?
Yeah, sweet tea, oats meat, from that.
And then everybody's asked to bring a dessert, usually, that's really cool, because everybody's got something different.
Yes. So,
You take a salad,
Yeah, I think,
give this up.
I think we need to, I think the paper would like to, reduce, so.
So we're gonna plan on having a silent auction, which means we'll line up a table or two, maybe three, or how many it takes. Items. They take 10, throw them together, that was what. So the equipment that'll be there, they carry those decent diameter from 5. So it'll be equipment that's reusable. Maybe new stuff, it may be, if anybody wants to donate something for the auction, you can go to, let's say, Dollar General and get a little art object. It doesn't have to be beekeeping related. We like to see things bee themed, but if it's not, that works too. So, just so it's reusable, so it's like new condition, it doesn't have to be new, but it's like.
I'm gonna bring some foundation.
Okay.
What's the date?
See some.
Yeah, 16th, I think.
Whatever that third one is.
Oh, it's on the agenda.
1, 2, 3, 16.
It's,
And by the way, there's a draft calendar attached to your agenda for 2025 with tentative dates. We're not sure on all the dates. Basically, we carry that over this year.
Right. So any events, if you're willing to participate in, or the big ones in there, and there's Goodwill Battlefield, White Memorial.
Plate plant sale.
That sounds great. So all of those, that's right, that's regarding that, future farmers. So if you'd like to volunteer, this gives you a way to plan your schedule around this, so you can learn that.
Some of the events are really nice, like White Memorial, they actually had us this year.
Okay. So the doors open at 6, for.
That's what May called out, so the board needs to decide that.
We're gonna send out RSVPs, so, that's right. So Adam will be sending RSVPs, so look for sign up sheets. That way we can get head count by close to the right number of bills.
We have voting results.
Okay, send this back.
You wish all election polls could be this quick. Vote by unanimous vote, Rick Ivy for president. By unanimous vote, Daniel Blackburn for president. By unanimous vote, treasurer/secretary, Tim Porter. By unanimous vote, Tammy Smith, director number 3. By unanimous vote, the bylaw changes are approved. By unanimous vote, the 2025 calendar is approved.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for voting.
And Seth, would you find out who would like to attend our dinner on the 16th? We're inviting anybody from Action.
On that. Congratulations, Mr. President.
Oh, does that mean I can step down next?
What?
I can step down. Let's see. Discussion of the aftermath of Hurricane Helene and how our 12 donations and goods.
Jennifer, I heard something from the State Beekeepers Association board meeting that there was talk of us not sending any used equipment to Western North Carolina. Do you know anything about that?
And there are people that are
but if you make an income, it's boom, so.
I have a less problem with that, but someone gets granddaddy's, D-box out, since, that's where
You're saying it's 20 years, it could be 20 years old, you don't know the fees on it.
the news, I'm not that worried about it, because a lot of the news, I assume y'all inspect stuff for that.
So I heard that, Don was gonna inspect everything that we. Don.
Okay.
It was not going without his inspection.
All in the work, so we're asking counties. I don't know who you're gonna match up with, but counties are getting in touch with their counties, work it out. Because there's all the, there's so much more. It's also in the work.
It's here on my work, Ash County.
Yeah.
Is having a bill day or just had one.
They feel like
They 300 months
Right,
of equipment. And we were talking about maybe.
we're teamed up with Wade, so is anyone interested in being the Johnston County interface to that group? If not, I'll do it. Okay. I'll let them know on Facebook and figure out, that way we're not duplicating work. Because I know that we will want our members to see, the members who are able to donate a move in the spring. But that may even be too many, because there's 5 counties all together. Right. So I'll work with them and find out what they have already done, and what we need to, what the other counties that were grouped with me. So we can at least contribute something. I know Wayne County's got what, 180, 200 members.
What's Wake County got? Anybody know?
I think they said they're like 600 something.
Really? Chris told me around 200, and
Maybe that's 200 after.
then they dropped back. They quit coming the second year. You get that many more each year.
Does Ash County Bee Club have monthly meetings? And so much they look like.
And that's what that group is supposed to be doing. And somebody from each of the 5 counties should be. The Wayne County guy has already contacted the Ash County president. But we haven't had any formal meetings as a 5-group thing. Okay, next on the list is Seth's farm report. It's getting chilly.
It is, hopefully colder soon.
Strawberries are good.
So pretty much all strawberries have been planted in the county, and most of the crops are starting to be gotten in. I know there's still some beans left out. There's some folks are working to get in, but overall, we're just kind of prepping for next year. Some reminders: if you would like to submit a soil sample, the time to do so is before Thanksgiving, ideally the end of this week at the latest. If you want them done for free after Thanksgiving, they're $4 a sample. So go ahead and get those to us. If you have any questions, reach out to me or Marshall. And also, you still have until November 26th to order fruit and nut trees from our fruit and nut tree sale. If you're interested in that, I can see if I can find an order form around here for you. And make sure you have those checks to us by November 26th.
How long does the soil samples cost until spring?
It's between Thanksgiving and April 1st.
Can't get free ones until April 1st.
I'm sorry,
When does the collection start?
what do you mean?
I mean, if you've given us a week.
We collect year round.
Okay.
You just got to bring it to us. If you want it done for free, you need to do it between April 1st and Thanksgiving.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Aren't you part of Master Gardeners?
No.
You're not. I thought you were one.
I'm
No,
more of a
I'm
gardener.
getting my piece.
I've asked the Master Gardeners questions, but
Does anybody want a fruit nut tree order form that has not gotten this?
Thank you, sir. Rick. We'll give a treasurer report.
Yes, currently, our bank balance is $8,124. We have had a check go out for some expenses, tonight for $600. We've still got to order the bee suits for our closet that was voted upon.
And I'm gonna order it tomorrow, we've been negotiating with the company, trying to get a better rate.
And we did, we got a better rate than their Black Friday sale, so. It's gonna run roughly $110 a jacket. We're gonna get 4 jackets for full grown people. We got stuff for small folks.
Next is report on the fall outreach for federal governments that happened on the 26th.
We had a great time out there. A lot of people through, we had an observation line out there, we had the, original Lancaster 5 that we built out there. It didn't have any bees in it, but, people got to see that, and, we had a lot of interesting people come through. Just good time. The only downside was the food vendor out there was packed up.
It's only one, yeah.
It was like a 30-minute wait, so. One more minute.
Okay, so a couple of the board ideas for using funds to support our memberships is John mentioned the adult suits and gloves for the beekeepers to be, the 4-H parents, and he's get those ordered to them.
Yeah.
And then the first aid kit has been purchased, and did you get the refrigerator?
I did not get the refrigerator, I had an employee get T-bone,
Oh,
I hit a deer, so. Everybody's fine other than the vehicles.
How's the deer?
The deer ran away, I was not killed, it may have died later on. I watched it get up and run into the woods.
So there will be a refrigerator purchased to keep things cool in the storage shed out there. The first aid kit. And Ken and Rick, we'll see what your report.
I'll do it, so, we had a, open house day, last weekend, and we come out, and, check through the bees, make sure that it was wicked. When do we do?
The ninth.
The night before, that's right, week before that, sorry. Come out, went through all the hives and, got them all checked out, they look really good. Other than some lights, we did some, light vaporizing, new vaporizing, some training, which is really cool, so, I encourage everybody, if you haven't been to open house, come out to open house. You're welcome, we encourage it. Also, next weekend, we're having another open house. And actually, it's not going to be open house, it's going to be work day. We're going to do the count of all the pieces and parts and the apron. So, frames, bottles, bits and pieces, and all that sort of thing. We want you to volunteer to come out and help.
That will be this Saturday.
Sorry, what's the morning this Saturday?
Yeah.
This Saturday.
What time?
Okay, we would not get a sign of fees out of that. So we didn't get that done.
Probably what, 11 o'clock?
Yeah, that sounds good. What do y'all want to do? Who's gonna come? What time will it be? I'm gonna be there. Who can help? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna open up the building. Yes, please come. We're gonna open up the building, we're gonna pull all the stuff out, we're gonna look at it, tell us what it is, we'll put it down in the Excel spreadsheet. So we have to have an inventory for it. And also, we're gonna do closet. Right?
And if somebody needs to be trained on the new vaporizer, to check that out, you've got to have training. You can't just come check out that vaporizer. Because you don't know what you're doing, you can hurt yourself.
I bought one myself personally, it works great. 10 colonies at home, 10 colonies at work. And about 30-35 minutes treated, that's from light the smoker to clean it, putting it back on. Don't take very long. You probably, the more you do it, the faster. I drill holes in all back lines, so I can put the back side, put a tile over the front, keep it from the back. It works really well. 1 or 2 hives or 10 hives, that light works really good. It'll do more, but you have to wait for the quality of the battery to charge. Oh, I don't know about capacity of those batteries.
4 ampere hour.
4 amp hours, but it's like the 10, no problem. It has to charge. Works really well. I encourage it. Because, you're gonna have lines.
All right. So I do want to point out, if you've got any friends who are interested in a beekeeping class, ours will be coming up. The class is going to be February 22nd, 2025, and it lasts from 7:30 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. You don't have anything else?
Open house on the 18th of
January.
January.
Oh, they don't make them calendar. So on your calendar, you put January 18th. There's going to be 2 hours.
Yeah, it's gonna be in the kitchen, and basically, we're just trying to get new beekeepers that are people that are interested in becoming beekeepers to come and talk with us. See if we can convince them to come to the bee school. Explain what beekeeping is about and everything, so they're a little bit more informed. Rather than getting to the bee school going, you know.
And the one-day bee class is pretty intense because you're trying to teach as much as you can in that short time. So somebody that's never been messed with bees, it is a lot.
And just keep in mind, you may go to the bee school, but where you learn is in the apiary with Rick and that's where the action happens. And we've got a nice apiary down here.
Beekeeping is a hands-on. Beekeeping learning is a hands-on thing. That's not-
And I think new beekeepers need to start by cleaning up the equivalent of damage from wax melts.
I've done too much.
That's the first thing you should do.
That's almost a given, right?
And the second thing is clean up one that's been infested and eaten with hobby or
Those springs go in the garbage and go to the landfill.
hold your nose. Anyway, that's it for our meeting this month. Any questions, comments?
Anybody considering helping do the beekeepers corner, please come see me. It's not that hard, it's just a little bit of time, just the Friday, you need to have it done Friday before our meeting. Get the tab, so it's not difficult.
The chairs and tables need to go up. And we'll bring the
Yes.
Follow.
Alright, so if what y'all can do is put the chairs on the chair cart and one person helps pick it.
Rick, I have a question. That's the beat. And this.
That's what I was saying. I was like, if you want to,
Mostly just
house plants or something.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's what he was saying was, I was like, look, all I know is dendro is not the back, and I learned how to do a lot of plants, and I can't go back good enough, so.
yeah. I didn't take it because I knew what it was. It was house plants. And I didn't like anything.
Yeah. See, they don't know how to get their classes. Yeah, teachers are separated. First semester, second semester, they were the last day.
And then like a few seconds later, I'm like, here, there. Then I draw my phone and I was
So, you know, what we'll be doing some funding for those classes. You know, we can decide.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, because he's gonna give them this. We'll be good from there.
They were,
Oh, okay. It's got-
I emailed everybody.
Which was physics.
Yeah. There was one, we just, we did, I did this.
That was last. Oh.
Yeah. Afterward.
That's next month.
Yeah. We did the other one.
Yeah, he's got double time right now, biology 183.
Yeah, I didn't see
Public
it.
speaking. Yeah, he's hitting that right now. Stop, come away. So he, that was before he had. He is not like, he just took his advantage, like, well, I got 40 of it.
You feel it's so trained on the other thing.
Yeah, that was.
We separated them, we separated them, so people could see, but it was crystallized, and I was like,
So I'm trying to look for it. Well, my colleague has bigger head, but I mean, it's unexpected, but online. So we've got the life. Yeah, I told you for the other guys, I said, you know, you've been able to get through it, if it's working, it's studying, it's gonna get right. I said, that ain't all. But that's what it's not. It has to. So math, it's that, I wasn't ready for that.
That's the problem.
That's what I told you. That's what I told you.
Through the Bibles and mass and all stuff you don't like. It's easy.
That's what I told you. They're like, oh, maybe get water with phone. I was like, no, it gets easier. So you get your like, maybe your capstone or whatever, but it gets easier as you go because they actually know you now.
Teachers care less, they know you personally.
And we got that.
Don't have that problem in a teacher. Then it tells you or you get that ring.
Okay.
Really hard.
She agrees.
You usually really get something out.
I see it all day.
There's a. If it was free.
Oh, I can do that too. You must also be a sophomore.
That was last month. This month. Happening. You got your one animal science class, right? One ag class.
First year, first semester.
That's what I was like.
Yeah, he's not in the business class. The place in the house was he didn't have no pictures, so you should take it. What did he come to? I like all the left back. He said, my next man, I'm taking like one for it. He's like, I'm taking that. I was like, you didn't know me, son. Trigonometry.
Which is like.
You're taking the bottom of those. And then I take some random statistics class.
We're doing our brother's right. When they got him.
I haven't heard from him. I haven't heard from him.
I had no to say. It'll come.
Yeah, yeah, we had,
It's the last sign up.
I don't think I get to sign up for my classes until.
Because he takes me that 4 o'clock, was it sign up other than 3 to 4 o'clock? In lab, he's like, I'm signing for right now. He was like, what do you think of the online play class? I'm like, just sign up.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do. It's like, if you're in the, you need to be active, like, how do you sit there getting refreshed?
That's what he was doing. He was like, I know it's a game, my lab instructor will be fine.
yeah.
You're the last person, the last of the freshmen to get to sign up. You gotta get it now. Because everything is, because he's got to get his professor, he's got to get his advisor.
You are, you
Yeah. But I think you should.
Whoever's the FFA
But
national.
I don't know what it's fun. You're really kidding, like, I have.
Who's the national FFA boss? I don't know, my son had already seen it.
Yeah.
Good seeing you again. Yes, sir. Thanks for coming out. See you.
Yeah.
We can talk about the same first. I'm gonna come in tomorrow. And,
Yeah, give me, my sister said she needs to know that, like, some Lisa too.
I will go over it with the girls. Make sure they're aware. But I've got the inventory on the side of the box.
16th.
I know Jennifer will be here tomorrow. I'm not sure about Shane. She was sick today. And I won't be here.
I would need it to be too.
You know, so you-
I would need it by like at least the
Yeah,
sixth,
what's supposed to be.
so that I can tell her about it.
And, I need to find the 3 million.
Cause I just asked her food, I said, ballpark, how much per person, let's say $60. She said $9.60 with that.
Yeah.
Per person.
That thing's
Which is
about
about
clean.
She said $9.60.
We did, Nathan's the other day, and when he got done, it was like, he couldn't explain it with him. And I passed it on to Kent, and he made, started.
Right.
I told him. And so he started the water, dry and rag.
Couple of clean this or, decide to re-clean themselves, try to re-clean themselves.
It's just one of those things. They
Oh,
dry.
really? Oh, I was like, why is
Now, the carbon down there,
Six percent.
probably for all. Okay, so we're good.
I'm waiting to see if it works.
Yep.
It worked. I need to move the, this high.
Do you feel
Shows
relieved?
up, right, just,
Yeah,
all the
well,
points,
I
just combine them together.
You know, I can do something. The day things. Well, so I can talk him,
It's good to get a fresh face.
Well,
and
it is, whenever we get the sign up, to we'll just pass it over to these guys. Sign up for the event. You guys are invited to the event.
I'll share that with
I was working on it there, so they're probably
fine.
It's gonna be pork, chicken, green beans, boiled potatoes.
Yep. Hush puppies.
That's that's the night one.
Sweet honesty tea.
Lemonade.
Lemonade.
Is there pink lemonade? Okay, I just say pink lemonade.
I'm pretty sure it's what.
No, get my money's worth here.
Well, I don't want you to set any expectations.
I don't